It's Monday morning. Welcome to the newspaper review right here at Prime Media TV. I am Treasure, bringing to you the review for today. And as always, I have quite a number of news to be reviewed with you. First of which is, it is wrong for Nigerian lawmakers to determine their salaries, collect pants defecation allowances, OBASANJO said. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo said it is immoral for Nigerian federal lawmakers to determine their salaries and allowance and allocate themselves all sorts of allowances, including pants and defecation allowance. The Nigerian National Assembly when he hosted some lawmakers at his library in Abeokuta over the weekend. With all due respect, you are not supposed to fix your salaries and allowances. All right. So we'll have a video of his speech when he was addressing the lawmakers on this matter. Please, let's have the video in display.
With due respect, you are not supposed to fix your salary or your allowances. It's supposed to be done by the revenue mobilization and what? Okay. But you decide what you pay yourself, the allowances that you give yourself, newspaper allowances, pant allowances, sheeting allowances. You give yourself all sorts of things with all due respect. And you know it's not right. It is not right. It is not right for me to be the one to determine what I paid myself. It's immoral. And then you are doing it. The Senate is doing it. And you beat your chest. And in some cases, even the executive give you what you are not entitled to. You all got 200 million naira.
All right. In the video, you can see our former President Olusegun Obasanjo condemning the acts of the rep members, the lawmakers. But now, the House of Rep or the rep members has come out to refute the claim. They've come out to say that what we heard our former president saying is not true. So on that, we have Obasanjo's statement is false. We don't set our own salaries and allowances, House of Rep members said. The House of Representatives has refuted claims by former President Olusegun Obasanjo that lawmakers in National Assembly are responsible for setting their own salaries and allowances. They are coming out to tell us that what the former president said is not true. So this is what we'll be reviewing today. And to review this with me here is my co-host, whose name is, you already know, is Ayo. So Ms. Ayo, thank you for being part of us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I would like to hear your thoughts from the video we had and what the former president said. Do you think he can come out to make such speech if he does not have idea of what he's talking about? Do you think a person of his caliber in terms of politics in Nigeria would come out to make such, press statement without having full knowledge of what he's talking about? What do you have to say?
Well, Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo was the former president of Nigeria around 1999 down to 2000, the early 2000s. Yes. So he knows the system. He knows so much about lawmaking. He knows a lot of things, and he's entirely correct at what he said, that these people should not be the one determining the amount that they get he further emphasized on some of these allowances, even though,
how irrelevant they can
be, including pants allowance, shitting allowance. And I think we have in display some of the allowances that is allocated to some of our senators. Some of our senators have hardship allowance, wardrobe allowance, allowances
on
for their
monthly
PAs,
basis.
on their on monthly basis. They have allowances for their PAs. They have a lot of allowances that, just imagine, outside of their basic salary of 2.4 million naira. This is for some of our senators,
which is even on a
these
very
other
high side.
allowances are also allocated to them. So Mr. Obasanjo is not being too forward by saying that they are collecting sheet allowance, part allowance, because you see that all of these allowances are irrelevant. So he knows about the system, and he's right for saying all of those things. Now, the lawmakers, a rep member came out to refute what Obasanjo had said, that they are not the one paying their own allowances. Yes, of a truth, is very correct, because the system now is that their allowances are being paid, including their salaries, are being paid by the revenue mobilization, whatever. They are the one that paid them and all of that. And you can attest with me that, despite that these people are the one paying their money, what was the thing that warranted the Mr. President's allowance, Vice President's allowance, the Senator's allowance, the lawmakers' allowance? What warranted the increase of their allowances and their salaries by 114% around June 2023? What warranted that? If the RMFAC is an independent body,
organization,
of what need is the increase of the allowance as of July 2023, when this administration just came into power? The chairman of that organization was elected by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and by President Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of Nigeria. And one of the things that came to mind is that, how long should an elected position be? An elected position should last max 2 years. The same thing goes to our lawmakers. Since they are elected, they are there for 2 years. After 2 years, they ought to have gone. Now, this man has been appointed since 2019. He was appointed in 2019. Why is he still there? If at all, these people are not, they don't determine their own salary. But what warranted that increase? If not that there is something that they want to get, because the man who was the chairman of RMFAC as at 2019, he was once a secretary before he became the chairman, and since 2019 up until now, is this something that is still in office? So is this something that will last forever and all of that? So those are part of the things that came to mind as soon as I got that story. They are not paying themselves, but what warranted the need for the increment in their salary? So that's my first thought on that.
Well, we see that I took time to check the response of Nigerians on X, and so many people were condemning what Mr. President was saying. Some people said commended him, but one of the thing I picked from there is the thing we have been seeing playing out, that when you are out of power, that you begin to see what other people are doing as wrong, but when you are in power, you too do the same thing.
Well, for me, what I see to that is, you see, it is just like, it is mirror. It is what is playing out now. Reacting to what you just said, what is playing out now is like a mirror. Just like the way I'm seated here, what I'm seeing, you are not seeing it.
Yeah.
Where you are seated there, what you are seeing, I can't see it. Yeah. So there are tendencies. You see, when people are in power, they may not be able to see things in the perspective of the people. There are a lot of things that they are blinded to. And I can actually relate that with what this administration, what we see happening in the President Tinubu's administration, where he is not seen from the perspective of the people. That as at now, where the former president Olusegun Obasanjo is coming from, is that he's coming from a setting where when they were paying 9,000 naira as minimum wage and people could afford everything. And lawmakers' salary. When this issue of minimum wage broke out, we on this table, we took stories of the then governors, the amount our governors and lawmakers were earning in those days. They were earning 37,000 naira. Yeah. But you can attest with me that 37,000 naira in those days is equivalent to the 30 million naira of now, because it could afford a lot of things. So the perspective President Olusegun Obasanjo is coming from is that in those days, we know how much you are earning. We know how much it could, it could amount to. And looking at now, you can't hold 18,000 naira or 9,000 naira now and imagine that it could, it could cater for something. So he is seeing things in the perspective of times has changed. People want leaders who can sacrifice. People want leaders who are empathetic. So that is the perspective that he is coming from. You see, I understand that Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo too is not innocent. He's not clean in this place. He has his own faults too. But then we should not we should not condemn people based on the decisions that they have made in the past.
Right.
So relating it with what we see happening now, this is the reality that now is not the time for our lawmakers to be collecting allowances when they know that there are people out there who are suffering, and these allowances can actually cater for them.
All right. Now, talking about the increment of the lawmakers and all that salaries by 114%, which happened smoothly, no deliberation, there was no too much meetings upon meetings. Now, how can you relate it? The presidency during his speech during the protest said he's committed to safeguarding lives and properties. He's committed to the welfareism of the Nigerian citizen, and he talked about the oaths he took as a president. Now, they've been back to back. Now, concerning the increments by 114% to people who are already earning huge, and all the allowances. What can you say in connection to how long it even took them to decide on 70,000 naira payment to Nigerian workers?
Well, what I would say to that, let's even start with the earnings of our senators.
Okay.
Because as at now we do not have much on the lawmakers. Well, let's start with the senators. Our senators earn, going home, a take home a month is 2.4 million naira, if I'm correct. 2.4 million naira. They still have allowances allocated to them, if it is possible to have the allowances on display. The basic salary they go home with is 2.4 million naira. And they have hardship allowance of 1.2 million naira, which is 50% of their basic salary. You see, I can see here that these people know that there is what we are currently experiencing, the economy of Nigeria is affecting virtually every individual in this country, including our leaders. But the effect of this economy on them has led them to greediness. It has led them to the point of being greedy. You see, when RMFAC increased the allowances of our senators, our lawmakers, including Mr. President, in July 2023 by 114%, nobody was consulted. So that is to tell you that in Nigeria, politics is about how much you can benefit in your time in tenure. It is about how much you can get as at the time you are there, because you will not always be there forever. And they could acknowledge that. So they see politics as an opportunity to enrich yourself while you are there, enrich your people while you are there, get whatever it is that you can get. Like this thing that they say, it is a national cake. And everybody must eat out of it. But what we see playing out in Nigeria is that it is a national cake and it is only our leaders that are benefiting from it. So they do not care who gets the larger share. They do not care who gets the least of the amount. And I think by now, from what Mr. President is saying, what the former president is saying, the lawmakers should even be ashamed of themselves to come out to refute what Mr. President had said. And if at all they want to refute what the former president rather had said, they ought to give the aggregate amount that they are earning as lawmakers in Nigeria to serve as a proof. There was a time when Adeola Fayewu came out and she was analyzing the amount some of our senators are earning, and a senator in Nigeria from Kwara State, he went to the Senate House and he was saying that they need to sue Adeola Fayewu to court. Why? For what we have as a reality, because this is actually the reality of Nigerians right now. These things, this leakage came to Nigerians when we started talking about the minimum wage. So it is a shame on our senators that they could come out to refute, what the former president had said, but they can't give proof. They can't tell the exact amounts that they are earning. If at all they want to, you see, like like our current president would say, no be statistics we go chop. We need proof. We need evidence. We need proof that, okay, this is how much you are earning. Okay, if at all you are not the one determining your own salary,
Salaries.
what are the basics that they look at before your salary is determined by the revenue mobilization sector? What are the things that they consider? I mean, they should come out with proof so that Nigerians can understand that, okay, our lawmakers are trying. And this also brings me to have the conversation on some of the things that our rep members said. If you remember, around June, July this year, the rep members, they agreed that they were going to slash their salaries by 50%. How many of them have slashed their salaries right now? If at all, they are not the one determining the amount they earn as salary. By now, they ought to have slashed that salary. We ought to have seen that, okay, some all our rep members, 360 of them, we ought to see that, okay, these are the things that these people have done. So all of these things is just a mere talk with no evidence to back it up.
All right. Judging by the number of rep members we have, you just mentioned it, and going by what one person take home annually, multiply by the number of them, what do you think if Nigeria is now, because we keep on, this administration have been hammering on there is no money, they inherited debts, and we've seen that under this administration, they've been increase in ministers, they've been increase of ministers, they've been increase in in so many areas. They've been creation of new offices, and these people, money are being channeled to all these offices. Now, what can you say, judging by the number of this renewed hope agenda, judging by the number of people we have in the ministries now and facing the realities of hardship and inflation in the country, and going by the promise of our now president renewed hope agenda, which is to
let's even forget about that
renewed hope
agenda,
because it's not even
it's
visible.
not renewing again.
So, but what can you say, like, if one person I was going through the allowances. I discovered that aside their basic salary, they have up to 14 allowances. Newspaper, tire allowance. I don't know if they change their vehicle tire every month. And by the end of the year, one person is going home with, something very huge that can take care of their constituencies. Now, how do you think this country is going to recover? When do you think this country is going to rise from inflation if we continue to pay these people considering their numbers? And more are still joining them, because we see that on monthly basis the president keep on inaugurating people, bringing new people to office.
All right. See, on this note, I was reading something from Rufai, one of our known journalists, over the weekend, and he was analyzing this new dance step that people are dancing and go 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 ngo.
Okay.
And he was analyzing it, and the story behind that go 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 ngo is about a snail that the king told everybody in the land that anybody who can present an elephant will be compensated and all of that. And the snail was looking, what can I do? He went ahead to tell the elephant that the king want to make you the chairman of a committee in the village. If you come, you become the chairman. And out of excitement, the elephant was like, oh, this is good news. I need to be there. It won't me. As in, they did not see any other person to use. They want to use me, an elephant, as the chairman of the committee. So gullibility made him to follow the snail. And the snail was not like, he was angry. He was angry at the snail that you see my step alone. One of my step is farther than your own walking. The snail gave him an idea. Okay, carry me on your back. Out of honor. Who is the snail beside the elephant? The snail climbed the elephant's back. Then the snail had a corny idea again and says, let me put a rope on your neck so that the people will know that, to gain balance and to gain control and all of that. And the elephant was like, oh, this is a good one. He was gullible and allowed by himself, with your enemy sitting on your neck. How old is your enemy? Sitting on your back. And he took the elephants to the palace, and the snail shouting from afar, Mr. King, oh dear king, I have brought the elephants that you needed. And this elephant was asking, What do you mean? This is not the agreement. But the elephant did not, by himself, he walked to the den of the lion, to where he will be used as a sacrificial lamb. Who is the snail that he can, what kind of rope did the snail tie on his neck that he cannot easily shake off his head and say, I want an end to this right now? It is just for him to move a leg. It is just for him to shake his neck.
But
And the snail will be out of his back. But his gullibility did not allow him. Or let's just say that, you see, I can relate that with what we see happening in Nigeria. The people sitting on the neck of Nigerians are nothing compared to Nigerians. The people that are troubling us are nothing compared to us. And you see that Nigerians have not understood the kind of power that they have in them.
Yeah.
That is why I am so angry that this protest did not have effect as we expected. That is why I'm so angry that this 10 days protest is just as if we just went
wasted
outside, wasted our time, wasted life, wasted economic hour, because it wasn't really efficient. It is not as efficient as what we see happen in Kenya. It is not as efficient as what we see happen in Senegal. It is not as expected. So I am so angry. And earlier, we were discussing about the 1 million march. People expected that a lot of people will come out. But because of what happened in the last 7 days of the protest, a lot of Nigerians will not want to come out. And that is how gullible we can be. You are suffering. You are living in anguish. You are in trouble. Who are the people that are making these policies on us? Who are they? They are nothing compared to the power of Nigerians. So it is so sad that we are suffering and smiling in Nigeria. So the day and end, to answer your question, the day an end will come to this is the day Nigerians choose to say we are tired of this slave trade. Because gone are the days that it used to be white making us slave trade. Now it is not black against the black. It is not an issue of our rulers against us. They do not care what becomes of us. As long as they keep excusing us and they keep benefiting from us, that is all that they want.
Okay, we'll draw the curtain here. We should know that we can say enough is enough, because the masses has what it takes to shake off the people that are sitting in power. Enough is enough. You talk about the protests. I was asking myself, what has been it's as if it's as if nothing happened. Of course, we didn't witness protests in Lagos State, so it was as if nothing happened, and so many lives went down in some places that these protests happened. Properties were destroyed and all that. Nobody is talking about it again. I don't know, but until I believe that a time will still come that we didn't get it right now does not mean we've not gotten, or we're not going to get it right. But we must be determined to say enough is enough for this to stop happening. Mr. President, our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, have informed us what he knows, and we know that he knows what he talked about. So if lawmakers keep on increasing their salary, of course, nobody is questioning them. If they are saying that no, they are not responsible for their salary increase, but then who is responsible and who is countering it? If they decide to increase it, who are the people that to counter it? So we'd like to hear your point, on this, what the former president have said, and what the lawmakers are coming out to say also. We'd like to hear your point in our comment section. So we go on a quick break now. When we come back, we go to other stories. Please stay tuned.